Hi guys, this is the video update for our fourth day in Rome on our 21-day trip through Europe. If you haven't watched any of these before, you can go back and check those out if you'd like. We just have been talking about what we've done during each day and just some advice for anyone that's going to be traveling to any of these places in the near future, and just our perspective on our time and yeah.
Yeah.
So today we kind of did the big stereotypical things to do in Rome, and we started at the Colosseum.
We came in on the metro, which was pretty crowded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it probably is every day.
Yeah, as we mentioned yesterday in yesterday's video, we've run into that here
Consistently.
multiple times, and hadn't in London on the tube or anything. So I guess that's something to know if you're going to be coming, is that public transport can be very crowded.
Yeah.
So yeah, headed to the Colosseum, got sort of a late start. Got there a little before 10:30, I think it was. And it was a little bit confusing because like the Colosseum is probably the number one, maybe two behind the Vatican, but one of the biggest things that people come to Rome for. And so it's kind of hectic, and we, as we said in yesterday's video, got the Roman pass, which is supposed to get us into two attractions for free, and also like let us bypass some lines.
Yeah.
The way they had it set up was just really confusing. We couldn't tell which line we needed to be in, and there was like a really long line, which apparently everyone has to go through, whether you have your ticket already or not. So that was confusing.
Yeah.
But we only...
There were a lot of cutters.
Yes.
Which was very frustrating.
But, we waited in that seemingly very long line for about 20 minutes, which actually went pretty by pretty quick.
And we were shaded too, which was nice.
Yes. And then once we got in there, then like lines diverge, and if you need to actually buy your ticket still, then you get to wait in more lines. And if you have yours or your Roma pass, then
you get to just go right
save
in.
some time. Yes, which we did, and it was pretty great.
Yeah, it was good. We just have talked about I don't know, the view from outside is actually really great.
Yes. Probably better than what you see on the inside. It's cool like on the inside because you get a little more perspective of like the scale of it and how it would have been used and stuff. But there's a reason that all the pictures and paintings and everything shows the outside of the Colosseum as opposed from like the inside looking up.
Yeah. It's just a cool view.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and then we got to go like started at the top level and then went all the way down to near the bottom. Didn't really do any reading of like some of the exhibits or anything like that.
Yeah. If you are coming to, I don't know, if you're going to be traveling and you're trying to do a lot in one trip, reading every sign is impossible.
Yes.
Like you just won't be able
all the
to do it.
And, yeah, so we have kind of grown weary of reading, which is unfortunate because if you haven't done your homework before, then you don't get a full appreciation of what you're actually looking at, which is where our audio guides really come in handy.
Yes.
We didn't use, as we mentioned before, we have the Rick Steves audio guide app, and we had a Colosseum one. We didn't end up using it because it's kind of inconvenient to be tethered to each other.
It is, because you're having to weave in and out of crowds, and
yes.
With the audio guide, he's walking you along. So if you want to listen to it with another person, definitely bring an audio splitter and just be prepared to like be tethered to each other, or just have your own.
Download them separately, yes.
Yeah.
But yes, there's a reason that every big exhibit like offers
audio guides
at extra charge. It lets you kind of get a better appreciation of what you're looking at, but without having to
stop and read. And
yes,
yeah, because it's hard to give your attention to that when what you're there to look at is right in front of you.
yeah. But yeah, and then from there we headed over to the forum, and which is also combined with Palatine Hill.
Yeah.
And all three of those you can buy like a combo ticket, which is €12 normally.
Yep, and they're really close to each other. I mean, there's no streets like separating them or anything.
Yeah, and we honestly didn't do a lot of reading there either, or hadn't done a ton of research in the history of it. We did use an audio guide there, which we really appreciated because, like we said, it really adds a lot to the experience.
It does.
Didn't spend a ton of time there either because we're just like discovering as we've been on this trip for
the last 2 weeks.
Right?
Yeah,
almost
2 weeks.
Yeah, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow that we've been on this trip. You just sometimes get tired.
Yeah.
And so, especially in Rome, it's been so hot, and
it has. We've discovered that our traveling philosophy, and this is not fully formulated, obviously, yet, but speaking from a bit of experience on this trip, free stuff is awesome.
yes.
And when you are going to see something, like, you're talking to people about your trip in advance, and they're like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. Like, when you go to, X, like Paris, Rome, London, whatever, you have to see this, like, type of thing. Like, if you leave without seeing that, like, oh, you didn't even do it. Like, that's not...
We just haven't found that to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have, done a lot of the big things, and
have enjoyed them, but we've actually enjoyed the smaller, sort of undiscovered stuff.
Yeah, and
which is
usually
more
free.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like some of our perspective on, if it's worth it to spend money for attractions. And this is obviously all just kind of our opinion, and this vlog is partially just for us and partially for anyone who cares to listen to us.
Yeah.
So don't be like offended or get super like disappointed and feel like we're crushing your dreams if you want to go see like big,
It's what you make it. It's really
like
there are some things that we paid for that we like, that were big things that we actually did a lot of research about, that we were really excited about, that ended up being awesome. But for us, I think, as far as like the Colosseum, the Roman Forum, and like Palatine Hill, we actually got
the case, really.
Yeah, we got some really good views, like just from the city, and
you can just like standing outside the Colosseum, you can like get great pictures and great video and an appreciation for
what it is, for what it meant to ancient Rome.
Same thing for like the Forum. You can like, without having to pay an entry fee, you can get views from above it and see
everything.
Yeah. Rather than being down in it.
And I think for us that would have been enough. Hindsight's always 20/20. So, for us that would have actually been enough, and we wouldn't have really needed to pay to like go be in the crowds and
and like we said, a lot of the what we're saying is kind of based on the fact that we've been traveling for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Rome is very hot, so we're cutting our days a little bit short, and our attention spans are not
as
what
long.
they would be if it was like our first day, and traveling. But yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, and like just along with that, this video is kind of turned into just like a philosophy of traveling. But make sure that when you're going places, you're going to see things that interest you. You know what I mean? Like,
don't just do the typical stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, hey, we're going to Europe, and then just started looking at what other people go to see, which isn't necessarily what our interests are, like at home. And so kind of take that with a grain of salt. Don't go somewhere just because other people go there. If you have an interest and a particular country or city like is known for being great at that thing, then it's definitely worth it. But don't go somewhere just because other people it's like that. It's a
the
touristy
thing
spot.
to do.
Yes. So take that as you will.
As you will, yes. And we've done a little bit of both on this trip, probably.
Mm-hmm.
We've taken some advice, and we've just kind of done some stuff that we were interested in, and we've loved everything. You know, obviously, like we feel very blessed to be able to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been an incredible experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not over yet.
Yes.
we have quite a bit left to
Over
do.
a week.
Yeah, over a week.
Head home in a week.
And 2 more
Yes.
cities to go to.
Yes.
So, but you know, for us, it's just like so much of it is your attitude, and so much of it is like, I don't know, just make it personal.
Mm-hmm.
And don't just do the big stuff. Like, don't miss out on, you know, things that you'll actually really enjoy.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't be scared to just like go see things that interest you. They don't have to be like one of the big things to do in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what I was gonna say, but yes, all that to say, what we're saying.
What we're saying.
I don't know what's happening right now. But yes, after the Palatine Hill, stopped for some lunch and then headed to the Pantheon,
Yes.
which was very cool.
And free.
And free, yes. If you don't know what Pantheon is, it's originally a big temple to many gods.
Yeah, pan means like all.
Across.
Yeah, in Latin, and so you know, Rome was like sort of welcoming to like every religion.
Yeah.
And so the Pantheon was
a temple
to all and every god.
Yeah. But it's a really cool building. The dome is like super famous for being like a marvel, like especially for how old it is. Like it's like a perfect dome, and it's so big, and it's very cool to see. And
People
it's free.
have like studied it because of its like mathematical perfection.
Mm-hmm.
The dimensions are like apparently perfect or something.
Yes,
so.
but we did that for a little while, and then headed home fairly early because, like we said, it's so hot, and we've been tired.
We had some gelato though.
Yes.
Before we left, and that was fun. That was a good experience. It's a little bit more expensive in Rome as opposed to, you know, other places we've had gelato, but it's delicious and refreshing, and there's a reason that there is one on like every corner in Italy because it's so hot and people love it.
Yes.
So yeah, it was really good. We listened to an audio guide. We actually decided to go ahead and sit outside in the shade and just listen to the audio guide before we went and looked at things, and that worked really well for us. So that could be a good strategy. We've also seen a lot of really funny panhandlers and like people begging for money. Like we've seen lots of really funny scenarios like as we've been traveling. Just today we saw this guy who he had like some kind of physical ailment, disability that he needed to use a cane, and he came in to like sit by the Pantheon. He was just actually sitting and talking to people, and just, you know, he seemed like he was totally fine. He was having an espresso, and he, you know, seemed good. And then he got up, and his whole persona changed, and like he put on kind of an act to like get more money. So
he was a poser.
He was a bit of a faker.
Yes.
And I think we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
We may have seen a fake old lady today.
She's probably an old lady, but
maybe, but her face was like covered, so
could have been.
But yeah, just there's a lot of it, and fun experiences, and we've just been noticing the little things as we've been traveling, and really appreciating them, and you know, having a really good time. And I guess kind of the moral of this video is like, it's all about your attitude. Yeah.
And don't do things when you travel just because other people have recommended them. Make sure that you have genuine interest in them, especially if you're going to be spending money on them. So, well, that's all we had for today. So make sure you subscribe if you're enjoying these, and you can check out what we're doing on Instagram. If you search for the hashtag Miranda's on the Move, that's what we're tagging all of our stuff with. So you can check there, and leave us a comment. I am like curious if anyone that we don't personally know is watching these videos on YouTube. Seems like maybe. Yeah. But if you do not know us personally and you're watching these and you think they're useful, then we'd love to know. Yeah. So thanks for watching. See you guys.